Hey guys, welcome to my discussion on weight loss as well as the type of weight that is gained for body composition. I'm going to go over a few tips, tricks, and kind of how to lose weight, why we gain weight, and basically kind of talk about the whole topic. So this is all educational. Remember to discuss options for diet changes with your doctor, with dietitian, anything else like that. But let's go ahead and get started. So basically, how do we classify somebody as overweight versus obese? The modern day scale we use is something called the Body Mass Index, or BMI, which is basically a formula where you take the person's weight in kilograms and divide it by their height in meters squared. And that's going to give you something called that BMI number. Now, a normal BMI is in between 19.5 and 25. So in that is the normal range. If you're less than 19, you're underweight. Now, if you're over 25 up to 30, 29.9, you are considered overweight. However, if you're a 30 plus range, you are considered obese. Now, keep in mind, body composition is very important because we look at lean mass versus fat mass a lot of the times, meaning somebody maybe who's really short and very muscular may say they have a off BMI, a high BMI, so it's not necessarily the best way only to tell them if they're overweight. A good combination between BMI and body fat percentage is very important to kind of analyze as well too. So it is also on the other scale. You can be super tall and skinny and it'll say you are over or underweight as well too. So there is other factors that doesn't necessarily mean you're unhealthy. It is a general range that we use for populations based on what insurance companies have been able to kind of basically also put in there on the side. So don't only feel bad or only feel focused on that BMI. You should use it as kind of a general scale. Although that being said, the higher somebody's BMI is, the direct correlation it has between having a higher chance of chronic disease. These chronic diseases can include such as cardiovascular disease, metabolic diseases such as diabetes, osteo diseases such as your osteoarthritis, lots of pain to the joints, tendonitis, some of the other ones as well. Overstrain to the body can also cause inflammation, which leads to a higher chance in certain cancers as well, especially sex cancers, ovarian, breast, prostate, some of the other ones like that too. So you do want to be mindful of the amount of overall body fat that your body carries, especially because you have two types. You have one which is called subcutaneous, which is the fat underneath your skin, and more importantly, you have something called visceral fat, which is the fat that lines the organs. Now, the more fat you have on your organs, think about the heart, think about something like stomach, it compresses the organs, putting a lot of strain on them, which leads to a higher chance of heart disease, heart failure, some of the other ones, and increased chances of having that bad cholesterol that can lead to heart attack and increased stroke as well too. So you want to be very mindful of the amount of body fat or fat that you carry, especially in your organ area. Now again, there's two types of processes of where we carry our fat. There's something called gynoid and there's something called adenoid. Think adenoid as apple-shaped or where you carry it on your stomach. Gynoid, think pear-shaped or on your hips. And that's mostly men carry that adenoid, that apple shape in their stomach, think beer guts. And most female carry it in the hips, think birthing reasons. And that's kind of why, again, body composition can also be determined, again, on female versus male. There is a big difference. Now, men should never really get below 5% body fat. Otherwise, they start to lose testosterone, can lead to a lot of issues, impotency, bone density, hair loss, other things like that. Same thing with females. However, females shouldn't get below about 13%. They need a little bit more. They don't want to spike the testosterone. They can lead to a lot of other issues, amenorrhea, irregular period cycles, stuff like that, that if they get below 13%. Again, they need it a little bit more for birthing reasons, other factors as well too. So their body is allowed to have higher fat percentages as well. Keep that in mind. So it's important kind of to focus on the total amount of excess body fat. Now, body fat is important. You need it. It's your long-term survival. It puts cushions between your joints. It allows for basically insulation to your heat from your muscles. So in some factors it is. You don't want it too low. Most people that are getting that super low numbers and having that super ab pops aren't sustaining it long. They're doing it for a short period of time, they're doing it for a show, some kind of take, and then they're gonna go up slightly above kind of that, in men's case, more about 7-8%, and that's really what it starts to really pop, but that's not as sustainable. Most people sustain it in a low number, close to 8 to 10 is kind of a good idea to kind of think of. But everyone's different, keep that in mind, just kind of a general average that I've been noticing. But yes, as far as weight loss, so we want to think of weight gain versus weight loss. Now, there's two major factors, and the most important is that caloric intake. The most basic idea to are you losing weight? Are you burning more energy, or in this case calories, than you're consuming? So if you start to burn more than you're able to have come in, you're going to start to take away from what you already have. In this case, it's going to start to burn your fat. Now in reverse, if you're having a caloric surplus or you're bringing more than you're consuming, that's going to start to store it for later and store it as fat. Sometimes it can turn into muscle depending if you're doing it right, and what you're consuming will also determine what it turns it into. But on the average, the excess most calories more than likely are going to be turned into fat. Unless you have a good amount of resistance training, tearing it down, and you're also focused on keeping your protein at a higher level. And the type of food, again, is going to be very important to what you turn it into. Avoiding those high fats and those simple carbs, especially sugars and fats, will be turned into fats as well, especially in that excess sugar, that insulin. Once again, one of the health factors is insulin resistance as you become higher in obesity or higher in body fat percentage. So, how do we lose weight? Now, it is, there's a lot of complexities. Everyone has different genetics, age, sex. They're all different factors. But the most basic idea is, once again, are you burning more than you're consuming? Now, that can be done from two things. It can be done from nutritional awareness. Are you bringing a deficit to your calories? Are you eating less? More commonly, are you eating more frequently with smaller portion sizes? A good pro tip is if you're overeating when you do eat, try to eat slower, talk more. It takes about 12-14 minutes for a chemical called leptin to be released from your fat cells and go all the way to your brain and your hypothalamus, and that starts to tell you you're full once enough of that builds up. So if you slowly take your time and eat, it's going to build up and start to tell you you're full, allow your stomach to shrink. But if you scarf it down in 2 seconds and you still haven't even allowed it to get to the brain, your body's going to tell you you're full or you're still hungry even though you've filled up a lot of volume. So slow it down. Makes a big difference as far as consumption. Now the other side is increasing the amount you're burning, and that can be done by simply adding exercise. So ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine, recommends about 150 minutes of moderate low intensity exercise or 70 minutes of vigorous, or a combination of the two. That combined with 2 to 3 days of resistance training. Definitely important. Not only is it good for increasing your bone density, muscle size, but it also increases your metabolism. A good concept to keep in mind is for every pound of muscle you gain, you're burning approximately about an extra 50 calories a day. So if you grow that 5 pounds of muscle, it's relative, looks about the size of a thumb. That's 250 more calories a day you're burning by not doing anything, just at rest. Your resting metabolic rate will increase. Very important. So you want to grow that muscle while you cut into it with the cardio, and then being mindful of a very healthy diet that hits all the nutrients you need, the vitamins and minerals, but staying in a caloric deficit. So once again, you need to be continually burning more than you're consuming, and that's how you lose that weight. And all it is wash, rinse, and repeat. Now again, be happy with the small changes, but don't expect progress to go overnight. If you starve yourself, you're going to have a big yo-yo dieting concept where you lose a lot and then you gain it back even more, and it's even harder to lose the next time. And that pattern continues and continues. You want to go at a nice, gradual, slow, controlled weight loss. You want to be able to make sure not only that you're losing it, but you're going to be able to keep it off and that you do it healthy without depriving your body of vitamins, minerals, and again, the nutrients it needs in order to survive. So you want to be slowly taking it away, anywhere from 200 to 500 calorie deficit from what your body's resting maintaining levels would be. General surgeon on average lists about 2,000 calories for the average person. Again, height, other factors are very different, so that's just a general formula. And then take about 200 to 500 calories off of that number, and that's where you should be kind of consuming. A good advice is if you want to look at myplate.gov, that's a good nutritional guide that the government funds as far as ideas on creating nutritional plans. And if you like to track it and be able to maintain it, I personally like to use an app called MyFitnessPal. It's an Under Armour ran app. It's very easy to use. You can barcode scan everything else, but it tells you how your calories should change based on your goals. Once again, whether you're trying to increase your muscle mass or you're trying to lose that weight. Biggest thing to get out of this is it's about consistency. Proper diet, good amount of exercise, and staying consistent. Don't let the weekends go and you go on a bender and you have a whole bottle of wine and eat out entire garbage and ruin the entire progress you made that week. Having moderation is key to be able to enjoy certain meals, but being more positives than negatives is the only way you're going to consistently get to where you want it to be. Keep rocking, guys, and you got it.